So now we're going to get into NASCAR. We have our good friend Phil. He worked with Sam and I when we were down in Daytona working at NASCAR. He's kind of our encyclopedia. He knows the sport better than pretty much anyone I know.
Go fast, turn left, baby.
Yeah, he's kind of a NASCAR nerd. So we brought him on. We're curious. We want to learn. We want the fans to learn a little bit more about NASCAR. So Phil, this is Phil. Phil, welcome yourself to the podcast.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Heck yeah.
We're excited to have you. So obviously, Phil, Sam and I do not follow NASCAR like you follow it. You've been to how many tracks now?
25.
25. Cool. And how many are there?
Roughly, well, I've been going for 20 years now, so Jeez. There's roughly 30, around 30, low 30, something like that.
So you're easily going to touch every track before you're like the next 5 years, probably. No. I don't go to road courses. You can't see anything. I guess that's fair. Yeah. So because I know like you don't like road courses because you don't like. I know you don't like the F1 at all. So
no, road courses. You can't see anything in person. You go there and they go by you, and then they go by you again. It's just you can't see nothing.
That's fair.
Very similar. Very similar to the F1. So I can understand that, but I just felt like you would want to just go to every single one of them just to go to every single one of them, but maybe not.
Maybe if I found a money tree.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, I'm looking for one too. So if you find one, let me know.
Please let us know.
Yeah.
So obviously, like I said, Sam and I don't know a lot about it. We do know kind of the basics.
Yeah.
Obviously, the regular season has now just ended. Yesterday, I believe, is when the last race was, either Saturday or Sunday. Not too sure. But I want to ask Phil, just right off the bat, how the playoffs work in general. I know they have it all, like the seeding or whatever is all set. Does the seeding, like if you are the number one seeded in points, does that help you into the first race?
So first off, this is a very loaded question. Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Things that goes into NASCAR points. I don't even think I know everything, and I feel like I'm, been in this sport for a long time. Basically, everyone is eligible for the playoffs, just like any other league. But our sport, or NASCAR, I call it my sport because I feel like it's my sport.
Fair.
If you win a race, you're in the playoffs no matter what, as long as you are entered into every single race.
So you have to race every single race to qualify with a win.
Unless you get a waiver from NASCAR. So, for example, Kyle Larson was running the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 in the same day, and he couldn't get down to Charlotte in time, so he didn't race that race.
Sure,
but he applied for a waiver, and he got it. Okay. So typically, people that have gotten injured and missed races can apply for a waiver to still be eligible for the playoffs. As a matter of fact, Kyle Busch won the championship in 2015, and he only ran like half the races.
Oh, wow.
So. But he was running in the playoffs because he qualified for it by winning.
Yeah.
He got the waiver, and he won in the final 10 races.
Nice.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so then what do the points mean then?
So every race has 3 stages, except for the Coca-Cola 600 that has 4 because it's a very long race.
Okay.
So they basically pick a lap in each race. So let's say it's a 400-mile race on a 1-mile track. So that's 400 laps, makes 400 miles. So at lap 100, they stop the race. It's basically a race to lap 100. The top 10 finishers get points. So the one who wins that, they call it a stage.
Oh, sure, yeah. Stage wins. I got you.
If you win a stage, you get a playoff point that you could take to the playoffs with you. That you basically get each round. And then second gets 9 points. Third gets 8 points, and on down. Fourth gets 7, all the way down to 10th place getting 1 point. So you do that twice in a race. So you'll have two stages at lap, for example, 100 and lap 200, and you'll get paid out for the top 10.
Yep.
So when you win a stage, that playoff point goes to the playoffs. Now, when you win a race, you get 5 playoff points per win. So the way they see them is, I think Kyle Larson had 4 wins. I know he had 4 wins. I don't know how many stage wins he had, but he had 4 wins. That gave him 20 points, and he won 9 stages. So that's 29 points. So he'll start as the number 1 seed with 29 points, And Denny Hamlin, well, he had 3 wins, so that's 15 points plus, I don't know, 8 stage wins. That's 23. He would start second, but he had a big penalty.
So does that does that mean that Kyle Larson is going to start in pole position or the one position going into the first playoff race? No, it doesn't. So what does that mean?
That so it's just the regular season champion.
So
then?
he's
There's not like necessarily better in the playoffs because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the old point system would be, they had it was totally different. Basically, every position on the racetrack is 1 point. So if you win the race, you're going to get 45 points.
Mm-hmm.
I think second place pays 38. And then it's 37, 36, 35 at the end of the race. So you get 2 full stages of points for the top 10. They're the only ones that get points. And then at the end of the race, you get a point for every position on the track where you are in, opposed to 3rd through 10th. Now, back in the old days, they didn't have a playoff system where they reset the points at the end of the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
They just ran off points the entire year. Basically,
I got you. So there wasn't really playoffs per se.
No. So basically, the best average finish throughout the entire year won the championship.
I gotcha.
Okay.
Now they do those style points, but it's by a point basis. And if you win the regular season, which Tyler Reddick did yesterday, because the regular season ended, you get 15 playoff points that goes into the playoffs. That's your reward for being the regular season. Wow.
I see. So you could technically not win right away and still be in the playoffs. Because you wouldn't get bumped out, pretty much.
So there was 14 drivers that won a race, and there's only 16 get in. 2 of them got in on points.
Sure. Okay.
So like last night, it was a battle of the at the cut line for at 16. It's the last race. The cut line between Chris Buescher and Bubba Wallace trying to get in.
So sad.
And Chase Briscoe won the race. He hasn't won all year, and he took out both of them because he won and then knocked them 2 out because he got in by winning.
Yeah. So the points don't necessarily benefit you in the playoffs at all. They get you to the playoffs, but they don't give you any type of advantage. It just now turns into technically those top 16 drivers or teams or cars or whatever going. And then it's literally a battle for 16, because I know that then now it turns into kind of that more old school type of race feel where if you get the top 12, then you're through, right? Is each round one race, or is each round multiple races and then points are still kind of back into the play?
So this is the best way I can tell you. Okay. So the playoffs are 10 races.
10 races.
You have 16 drivers in the final 10 races. Each round is 3 races. So all those bonus about, with the stage wins and getting wins in the regular season, that they carry over into the playoffs. So you get a head start on these guys. It's not all square.
Sure.
And like in a different sport, everybody's square, right? A baseball team plays another baseball team. It's 0-0. These playoff points that they obtain in the regular season go into the playoffs, and they go round to round. So they battle for the top 12 for the first 3 races.
Yeah.
The second 3 races, so 4, 5, and 6, they're fighting for the top 8.
Yeah.
And then the top 8 fight for the final 4 in races 7, 8, and 9. And then you get to the end of race 9, and you have 4 drivers left.
Sure.
And points go out the window.
Yeah, that's just a drag race, more or less. That's just a race for the finish.
Best finisher wins the championship in that final race.
Which is funny because last year Blaney won outright. Like he won the race, and Denny Hamlin won the race, but he was the highest finisher or something like that.
No, Ross Chastain wasn't even in the final 4.
So that's what it was.
First time in 10 years that the champion didn't win.
That's what I was gonna say.
Race.
So that seems so weird because a random driver could still win at any point in the playoffs, but it doesn't really benefit.
Doesn't do anything for you.
It's just a win.
Yeah, but usually if you're not running good in the regular season, you're not going to advance in the playoffs.
That's fair. I mean,
it's just,
but you could still wreck somebody that's in the playoffs. I mean, you could
teammates.
Yeah.
So then another kind of question, just to kind of go off of that I'm just trying to figure out the points a little bit more in my head. So you said Tyler Reddick Larson won the regular season, or was it Reddick?
No, Reddick. And you know why Larson didn't win the regular season? Can I tell you why real quick?
Sure.
Larson lost by 1 point.
Dang.
Oh my gosh, that sucks.
And remember what I told you earlier?
Oh, because he sat out for Charlotte.
He chose to run the Indy, and his punishment was
the regular season.
He didn't run that one race that he would have gotten that point. He lost by one. He lost the regular season by 1 point.
So, okay, so now does Reddick does he have an advantage now? I'm just trying to see the playoff points he's accumulated. Is he kind of already
it just like keeps him in the playoffs longer. So he already has 15 points.
So I'm saying he's kind of more or less a surefire to make the round of from 16 to 12.
Pretty
now.
much.
He's pretty much already. It'd be hard for him to lose out more than it would be for him. He just needs to like finish the race basically, and he'll get in.
But let me emphasize again,
sure.
like winning everything.
Yeah.
Like I have seen Kevin Harvick so many times have his back up against the wall at the end of a round where he had 2 bad finishes in the first 2 races of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
And he walked off and won in that 3rd race, advanced to the next round because he won.
Yeah.
So just because you have 2 bad races in the first 2, you could win the 3rd one and you could easily go on.
Okay, interesting.
But so if you win that first race in each of 3, you're already on to race 4.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure, I got you.
You still compete in races 2 and 3, even though you've already been, advanced.
Nice,
gotcha. Okay,
little NASCAR playoffs.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird playoff structure compared to kind of that typical, just like obviously like normal point like scores and standings with like bat ball sports or whatever, football, baseball, basketball.
Racing is definitely its
racing
own
is even different because for me like hydroplane racing is kind of similar to where if you win the race you get the most points and whoever has the most points wins that, and then if you win the finals you just win the race.
Yeah.
Formula 1 is very much you just keep winning, you keep accumulating points, and that's how you can win the race, but you also are playing for the
points.
There's the team points and the driver points.
That's the same thing with NASCAR. They have owner championships.
Exactly. So the playoffs are definitely kind of a little spicier, a little different, which I like because I don't like it when every sport's the same. So I agree with that. So then kind of going into the playoffs, Phil, I want to know your top 3 drivers who you think will win the whole thing. And then I want you to give me kind of more of a dark horse. I know that there's going to be the, Larson, Reddick, and, Ross Chastain or someone, the big names, the big guys that are always in it or whatever. I want you to give me one that you kind of look at and go, I don't think a lot of people are thinking about this guy, but he has been racing well the last 2 or 3 races. He might get in there. I want to know who you think that is. So top 3 and then a dark horse.
Well, let me say one more thing about the playoff structure. So, because I think it's important for your viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Every sport, before NASCAR, prior to the playoff era, NASCAR was just like F1, just like you said. They just run every race, and like I said, whoever finishes the best every week, best average. I say best average finish wins the whole thing.
Yeah.
In the playoffs of any sport under the sun, you have to compete in the playoffs to win. You don't win a championship by just being good in the regular season.
Yeah.
You have to in baseball you got to be in the playoffs. Any sport.
Mm-hmm.
And same with NASCAR.
Yeah, and I like that. I think that's cool.
It's pretend like it's the wild card round or divisional round or the ALCS or NLCS and in the World Series. That's 4 rounds. That's basically what NASCAR. It's the same thing. So I think when NASCAR went to the playoff, there was a lot of old school people that didn't like it because they didn't change.
Oh, we heard about it on the phone. Don't you worry.
Yeah, it's changing all the time. And I think that's interesting because you make a good point when you talk about the wild card. Like last year, 2 wild card teams got in the MLB. They got in the World Series. Arizona and Texas were wild card teams. They did not win their divisions. They were not supposed to really. No one looked at them being. They got past the Dodgers, Houston, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Atlanta. Some of these good teams. And I like that aspect of where, like you said, you get into the playoffs and hey,
you never know.
It's anybody's game now. It's a different race. It's a different beast. Like you said, now, like kind of what Sam said, you have teammates that might even, hey, you're not in the playoffs, but hey, if you can take this guy out a little bit. Like, is that dirty? Probably, but it also, to me,
sure.
It makes racing more interesting. It makes it the strategy of the race of, hey, I need to defend my guy and I need to take him out. If you have that opportunity, teams could do that. Like you said, it's a whole new game. It's a whole new race. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of goes on with that. But I like it. I think it's different. And I like it more than I think I like the F1 where it's just, hey, if you win all the races that, like,
well, it puts them under pressure.
Well, yeah.
That's what it's a different beast. Because if you're just racing to race, you have 30 races or whatever the schedule is. Okay, I just have to get 16th. However many times, and then I'm fine. But if you're in the playoffs, I have to win.
I have to get
top five to get points, and if I don't get points, I'm not moving on. So I'm not going to make that. I'm not going to make that pass that I really need to if I just need to be in 16th.
Yeah.
Versus no, I got to get top five. I'm going to make that pass.
I'm going
to go for it.
Yeah, pull Ross Chastain.
I'm going to ride that wall, baby.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Exactly.
And if you don't win in those 3 races, you better have a good average finish.
That's what we're saying. Yeah. So it makes it more interesting.
5 top 10s guaranteed of all 3. If you're not going to move on, and it only gets harder at one. And the drivers, the better drivers, are still in it.
Yep.
And there's less spots available. Like like I said, the first it goes from 16 to 12, then 12 to 8, 8 to 4, and then 4 to 30.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching the Kind of Athletic podcast. Please make sure to like and subscribe on all of our social medias, and we will see you next week.